Hi, my name is Josephine Altman, and for the Population Connection presentation, I will be focusing on community building and relationships with your students. So, some background information is working together is super important for your kids to learn in your classroom, and it's super important for the whole relationship within your classroom. You want to build relationships, and teaching students how to work together is really important to build healthy relationships. Students may not come into your classroom knowing how to work with each other because they may come from different classrooms, they may not know each other. A lot of different experiences could lead to them not knowing how to work with one another. So the goal is that students can work together and move towards a common goal. And these skills are skills that they will need for the rest of the year in your classroom, for the rest of their school years, and for in their adult life, because everybody has to work with each other in life. But they'll also need to learn that some activities don't need groups and some activities are better done alone. So that's super important as we move forward too. So for my activity, I chose Creatures in Motion, which is a great activity to help students learn how to work together to reach a common goal, even if they don't know everybody in the group but it's a great way to teach them how to work towards a common goal. So I chose the grade level of second grade because second graders they know what is expected of them in a school, but they may not know they may not have learned everything that comes with working together, and it's a really great way for second graders to get to know all their classmates, and it's a great opening first month of school activity. So the objectives of this are to demonstrate how members of a group can work cooperatively to achieve a goal and to explore the challenges of group work. So there are many challenges that come with group work that not all students may be expecting, or some students may not know what to expect when working with a group. This can go into social studies, science, and language arts. There are different ways you can branch off into all of those and how they kind of incorporate all of those. So, hello class. Today we're going to be doing an activity called Creatures in Motion. So, if you look at the screen, you'll see a millipede, which is an arthropod. Just kind of like spiders or crabs. They have a lot of little legs, and millipedes have been called 1,000-leggers. So they have a whole bunch of legs, like 40 to 400 legs, which is a whole lot. Their bodies have segments on each leg, so there's 2 legs on each segment of their body. And all of those legs work together really well so that they can slowly move forward and get to where the millipede wants to go. We are going to try and do that with our classmates, and we're going to try and see if it's really easy to have a whole bunch of legs trying to walk in the same way, if it's hard or it's difficult. So, I want all of you guys to form a line, and can you put your hands out in front of you and hold on to your the person in front of you's shoulders, and you got to put your arms straight, and that way everybody can be part of our millipede that we're creating. So, I will be at the back of the line, but we're going to have a leader in the front of the millipede so that we can have somebody who shows us where we're going. So, everybody has to walk, but you guys you have to stay an arm's length away from each other. You can't get separated, otherwise we got to restart, and the rhythm will be off, so we won't be able to walk if someone moves faster than the other. So you got to stay all the way arm's length apart, and then we'll keep walking. Okay, ready, go. Students will then walk like a millipede for 1 to 3 minutes, or until I feel or the teacher feels that they've learned what it's like. So, okay, class, now I would love for you guys to go back in your seats and sit down so that we can talk about what we all thought about the millipede activity. So, what did it feel like when you walked with everybody instead of when you're just walking by yourself? Was it a little different? Yep. So, walking together can be a lot more difficult because there's a whole bunch of people, and it's not just you doing it by yourself. You have to rely on a whole bunch of different people to move. You can't just move by yourself. So if we had to walk like that every day in class, do you think it'd be a little hard to like get things done? Probably, because not everybody would get along every time, and then we'd be running into each other, and it'd just be a whole bunch more work than when we can all walk around separately to different parts of our classroom. What happens when we were walking as a millipede if one person in the middle stops while the other people keep going, and then the rest of the group runs into the back? Yeah, that did cause some issues because then we can't move and the whole group is thrown off. So it's really hard to be in sync as a group of 24 of us walking together in one group. So there are a whole bunch of different things that we do in our classroom that we can either do independently or we can do as group work. And when we're working as a group, it's super, super important that we take into consideration all of our other group members and all of the work they're doing, because all of our work comes together and it all affects one another. So we need to be mindful that when we work in a group, it's a group effort. Just like how we had to work in a group to walk when we're a millipede. Everybody has their own area they're responsible for, and if they don't do their area, then we don't get everything done. So super important, class, that when we're working in a group, that we all take responsibility for our actions and we all do our part, because otherwise we won't get anywhere. So, all right. So that was my lesson for millipedes in motions, or creatures in motions. So some modifications I might make if I had students with different disabilities or different ways they like to learn was having smaller groups of students. So instead of doing my whole class of 24, I might break them into groups of 4. That way then students wouldn't have such a big amount of people they'd have to interact with. It'd be easier in a little group for students to, they would still get the same idea, so it'd still work. If this activity for some reason didn't work with the classroom, I could also do where they stand in a circle and then we connect hands and they have to get out of the knot that they make in the middle, which might also, some students might also like connect with more. So that's just another option if the millipede one didn't work for a certain class. I would also probably show them a video of the millipede, because some kids are visual learners and it might be easier for them to see the millipede in motion rather than just a picture of it, to understand like how many legs there are and how a millipede would walk. So another modification I might make is for students with behavior issues, this might be a great way to get them to work together. And if we have like a millipede and then you add a pair of legs every time, the students work together well and cooperate with their classmates and share with their classmates and just have like a good classroom community, and add a leg in, that might be a great like behavior strategy or classroom management strategy for kids in the classroom. And some extensions I might make to make this for older students would be to have students then research different jobs that are available in the communities and see how they all work together, like in a job. So like in a newspaper, there's people who edit, there's people who write, people who have to distribute the newspapers, like mailmen, they're all connected. And I think that'd be really interesting for students to research a job and see how some, like the editor works alone to edit the paper, but they also get the paper from the writers. So I think it'd be interesting to see how all the jobs are related and how they all have their own tasks, but how they're all related in the end. Also, I think it'd be really interesting if you related this to population, there's different densities of cities around the world, and that then you can see how a highly densely populated city changes that way of life than if you live in a rural area, because there's so many differences between a big city life and a rural small town. So those are some extensions I might make to make this better activity for older students too. So that was my activity, Creatures in Motions. Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed.